Ladies and gentlemen, live from Los Angeles, California, it's Lunch with Dan Boul.
It's Lunch with Dan Boul. We're Dan's guest today.
Don't have to yell. Don't have to yell.
Guitarist Steve Kirk. Joining his other guest will be His Holiness the Pope. From the San Diego Zoo, Joan Embry. I'm Brett Chasen, and we're here with the Sofa King.
Oh, they're loving it.
Dan Boul.
And don't forget, we're going to have a 92-year-old woman from Burbank who knits. All right.
Apparently, this is the extended version.
You can go ahead and roll it down. Hey, fellas.
Nice work. Nice work.
Kid Gloves 2112 says, sounds Concordy. Anyway, hey, guys, it is October 9th? October 9th, 2013, and welcome to Office Studios. Courtesy of Brett Chasen and Bob Kulick. We're here going to play some guitar and have some fun. Thanks, Brett, for writing that song.
You bet. You bet.
Brett Chasen is actually it's actually his stage name. His given name was Paul Anka.
Came together. Really came together.
Yeah. I can't believe you threw that together so fast.
Really came together.
Yeah. So there you go. That's our new theme song, Until the Lawyers Call.
Yeah.
And
Tommy Newsom called. He wanted to come down and sit in.
So anyway, there you go. So we've got a couple of amps today. I'm going to let you guys get to know Steve Kirk, who's here in town, who's a studio cat. I think cat is the right. If you would have seen the hat he wore in too, you would call him a studio cat.
Cat is okay.
He's a cat. Here, come on over closer, Steve. You're kind of out of the shot. Like, move this mic where you need it.
All right.
There we go.
Here I
we might
am.
have to change this handle. There you go.
How's that?
That's great.
It's better.
And Steve Kirk rocks, Reverend Ulf says. And so I've got a London hooked up. I was just playing my old friendly green Kermie the Strat, which I just put my Ron Ellis pickups in, and it sounds great. But really, I want you guys to hear Steve play, but we're going to talk about a few things first. And Steve has brought his own guitars made by, what's the official name of your company?
Robert Farwell Guitars.
Robert Farwell Guitars, or as we call him, Sparky. Bob Farwell makes these really, really cool guitars, and they're like this mix of Gretsch and Fender, and he's got a really nice thing he does with the neck and everything, and the fit and finish is outstanding. And Steve is a big fan of the reverse headstock, which he will explain why.
Here, you can show him how Steve relicked this himself.
He relicked it by doing something really weird. Tell us how you relicked that guitar, Steve.
Yeah, I played the piss out of it.
Oh my God.
For like 6 years, so.
Now no one's done that since the 90s.
Has it been 6 years? Is it really?
Can you believe that? He relicked the guitar by playing it. That's stupid. I don't even understand that. I thought you're supposed to pay a lot of money to relic a guitar. Aren't you supposed to like paint it and then pay someone extra to mess it up?
It's not as relicked as Willie Nelson's guitar.
No.
But Steve doesn't smoke that much dope.
Not anymore.
No human being does.
No, I had to stop.
You play it to relic it. Madness, Stratocaster Mojo says. Vintage guitars, does he make custom builds? Yeah, I think if you were to get a hold of Bob, Robert, he would probably just try to accommodate you the best that he could within his build thing that he does. I'm sure he'll make you. He's a very accommodating, nice guy. We need to say hi to him here later on the show and explain the guitar.
We talked for about a year and a half before we built the prototype.
Yeah.
Because we were just brainstorming on the thing, and he had told me about what he had envisioned as being, a fairly ideal guitar that wasn't a Strat, that wasn't a Tele, that wasn't a Les Paul.
Yeah.
And that kind of filled a need that just wasn't there.
Yeah.
What wasn't being filled, I mean. The need was there. And
the guitar sounds fantastic.
Finally got around to building it, and I'm I'm playing that thing, and I have a bunch of guitars. I have a wonderful Les Paul
Come a little closer.
custom. That's a great instrument that I have some Lawler pickups on, and that's a great instrument. And I have a late '60s Strat.
Mhm.
This is a great instrument.
Right.
I have about 8 guitars, and right now I'm just playing this thing. Every time I think about, well, what guitar should I take to this gig? Oh, I just take the Grelly because it's
The Grelly is what it's called. Yeah.
because I just know I'm going to get whatever I need from it.
That's right.
You know.
Well, the ones that I've played have all been fantastic. And he makes just straight up tellies that are just killer as well. So,
Yeah.
where would you see yourself using the instruments? What scene and how versatile would it be? Well, I'd be in the shower. I'd have a candle lit. Probably some Harry Belafonte music playing. And, oh, I'm sorry. That's something else. Never mind. Have I ever brought my Les Paul Jr. in? I haven't in a long time. You know what I haven't played on the show, I think, is my 63 Jr., which is like well, it is. It's my first guitar that I got when I was 12 years old. And it still just rocks. Anyway, serious question. Where would you see yourself using the instrument? I would say, what, Staples Center? It's kind of an open-ended question. I mean...
What's
like you just said,
what's
you
unique
use it
about
for
the
everything.
what's really unique about the instrument is that it's so versatile.
Yeah.
So aside from being like a big fat ES-175 with 13 gauge strings on them, I mean, you can play jazz on this thing, you can play country on this thing.
All right.
Uh,
I've heard you play everything. It's the stuff you post. You know, like you didn't you put up a Tchaikovsky thing a few months ago?
I actually I've been commissioned to do a tribute to Stravinsky, and that's going to debut in November, which is for guitar and piano. So that's my composition, and it's just this really nut-brainy math kind of neoclassical composition that's for guitar and piano.
Oh, cool.
So that's what that was,
He's one of those guys.
and
Yeah,
I know.
Take that, Gilbert, just for professional.
No,
guitar
stop,
players
Miles.
only.
Cut. Waiter, check, please.
But I actually use the Les Paul on that one.
So Carp Amp says, thanks for the word picture. Now I have to go stare at the sun. That's funny. Bob Dragage says, I pronounce relic as reliced, as in has new lice. Yeah, well, relicking is fine. It's just an opportunity for a joke. If that's what you dig, it's great.
So
I think it's just neat that we have to point out that he actually reliced the guitar by playing it, which now is such an odd thing. You know, like, how did you get all those marks on your guitar? Oh, I just played it. Yeah, that's how relicking got started. You wanted to give the impression that you played this guitar a lot when you really haven't. And now it's become sort of accepted. Because I remember when it first happened, I think the majority of people went, why in the hell would you do that?
yeah.
And then it became apparent that a lot of people wanted it to look like, man, I just sit around and play all the time. I wore the paint off the guitar. And that's not the case. So here we are 15 odd years later going, wow, dude, you actually played it. That's fantastic. Would you want a relic chick? It depends on the chick, really. There's a couple of relic chicks that I think are pretty happening. But yeah, in general. Or a relic car, you know. It's like, hey, I want to buy a Corvette because you really just fuck it up. You know, like, could you scrape some paint, a big dent on the back, and some rips in the seats, and I want a little smoke to come out of the tailpipes when I stand on it. You know, whatever. I have a relic guitar. I mean, I don't come to this conversation with clean hands, but nonetheless, it's kind of an interesting concept. I think just for jokes, if nothing else. So anyway. So, Steve, you told me you've never played the London before, right?
I haven't.
Well, we better do that pretty soon. So, real quick.
Isn't that the first amp you made?
It's the very first one.
65 line?
Before we ever even thought about going into business.
Uh-huh.
I have to kind of talk into the mic. I'm not trying to look away from you.
No,
but,
no, I understand. I've seen so many of these shows. I understand.
Yeah, you get it.
I know the drill.
We're going to get a big desk and have coffee cups full of liquor. That's just to stick with tradition. But, yeah, we made the first amp just for Peter's gig. And never thought we'd go into business. Peter needed 2 discrete preamps that he can control from his Bradshaw rig, and needed a couple of different variations on sound, and that's what we got. So it's very cool. Man, we got a big crowd on today. Steve, look what you do.
I didn't do that. You did that, Dan.
I didn't even pump the show today.
No one knows who I am.
They do now.
I guess so.
They do now, man. So what's going on at 65 Amps? We did the LA Amp Show last weekend, and I got to meet a lot of you guys, which was great. It was very cool, and everybody was so cool, and I got a lot. It's, these trade shows are great for your ego, not so much for your bank account, but they're great for your ego. So it was very nice. I appreciate a lot of you guys coming by and saying hi and lavishing undue praise on me. Which was really sweet, but I'm just glad. It's really cool to meet some of you guys. One guy even brought his fiance, and we took pictures together. It was very cool. And so it's nice to know that, some of you guys are paying attention. I dig that quite a bit. Here comes Brett with another jug of water. We're doing a wet t-shirt contest later, so. And the water.
Miles is the judge.
Yeah. And Bob Dragich correctly points out that the guitar players were a lot better this year than in previous. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of the trade show shredders. The guys just sitting around going, There's just endless amounts of. We were down in the area that had Van Halen wars. And you would see one guy, there was like 4 amp companies down the hall from us that all did really similar things. And you would just hear one guy go to one room, play Van Halen, and go to the next room, play the same licks, go across the hall, play the same licks. And then what the drag were the guys that couldn't make up their minds, so they went around like 3 times. And I don't know how many different interpretations I heard of Eruption, but it was cool. But in general, there was a few guys that came by and went, oh my God, if this guy was born 40 years ago, or was playing guitar like this 40 years ago, he would have been a god, which is one of the subjects I want to get in with Tony Conley when we do our radio show. It kind of occurred to me also that playing guitar like Eddie Van Halen is not what you would call special anymore. It's kind of people are used to it, and there's a lot of guys that do it, so it just kind of doesn't come across as unique. Sometimes you could follow a lick around the show. That's right, yeah. And there's so many jokes there I can't even pick. But yeah, we'll do it. So anyway, let's run through the London really quick. I got my little Strat. So I wanted to show you the new Ron Ellis pickups we put in last night. And this is really not the best amp to show this off with. But we'll do it anyway. And so I'm on the EF86 channel with the booster off. Very good. This is Ron Ellis's mid-60s set. Kind of a big Nashville. A little bright. Let's turn the tone knob down. We'll turn the collar knob over one. I did not set up this guitar so you hear a lot of fret noise. Yeah, they're discrete channels. So you either need to use an AB box or actually just Is this guitar shielded? No. I do not like shielded pickups or guitars. You lose a lot of tone. And the buzz doesn't bother me. When you're playing in a band, you never hear it. So I don't have the foot switch in, so I'm the foot switch now. And I hit the booster on it a little bit. Everybody say goodbye to Miles Rose. Goodbye, Miles. Have fun. Miles is going out with a very young lady right now.
Photo shoot.
He's going to a photo shoot, which is what they call it here in Los Angeles when you're, taking pictures. Is your wife a goer, eh? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, know what I mean? So, anyway. Yeah, somebody points out here, the overtones and harmonic content are very rich. That is true. That is one of the signatures of Ron Ellis's pickups. How does shielding affect the tone? You just lose some detail on the top end. Your treble becomes a little more... you lose some of the elegance of the pickups and the string. And it just doesn't bother me. I'm fast on the volume knob, right? So, I don't know if you've ever listened. Who's that guy? He was really popular. What's his name? Jimi Hendrix. His guitar was noisy as hell. But it works. So, I'm just not bothered by it. I know some guys are, and that's cool. It's valid. It's legitimate. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't bother me. I used to always get a big kick when you go to a concert and you hear the guy roll up his guitar like that, and you go, oh, here it comes. I think that's really exciting.
It's different in different places, too. I have a studio in Oakland, and it's really hard to get the single coil guitars to not just be too screwed up.
Exactly. It's
depends on where you
situational.
are. I have a friend that lives in Washington State. He has a studio there, and when I go up with those single coil things, there's almost no hum.
Right. It's the dirty AC.
It's the locale too, and it's
You're in a high population density area, so that makes it worse. The problem we have right here is that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lights that are on Variacs or whatever here, and that's what a lot of that noise is. If you turn all these lights off, the noise drops by about 80%. So it's just the studio. Yeah, there's no way to get rid of the noise without getting rid of some tone. There are some guys that do a pretty good job of getting really close. And then it just gets on the scale of how much it bothers you. Yeah, if I was making my living in a studio, I would not take this guitar. Power conditioner helps. Right now, I just have a lot of regulated AC really close to me, and that's what the guitar is picking up.
Power conditioner helps, but it doesn't really...
It doesn't get rid of it.
It doesn't deal with the 60 cycle stuff.
That's right.
At all.
But yeah, I would play this guitar on stage and be fine with it. I wouldn't, this is not the guitar I'm going to sit at home with and play through a 50-watt amp. There's no firmament, there's no power conditioning going on right now. This amp is on the same circuit as these lights, and we're dipshits. Thoughts on split humbuckers? If you like them, they're great. I haven't had fantastic experience with them. What's that?
You lose juice.
Yeah.
I played the split blade guitar earlier today that sounded great to me. Actually,
yeah.
So I guess it's who makes them, right?
Yeah, there's exactly.
The Lindy split blades are really nice.
Would a Furman stop the noise? It would reduce it quite a bit. The problem is that when you regulate AC, it throws off RF. So like this light that's right in front of me is on a regulator. These two are not, but the one in the back is. And they throw off RF, and a big magnetic poles with copper winding around them are just a giant antenna. And so is this instrument cable. There's a lot of noise. But so there it is. And then I just go to the middle position in the hum canceling. It's Yes. Hi, Brett.
Hi.
Thanks for writing that song again.
It really came together. We got a good leading team, right?
Lots of fret noise. What's that? I really got to set this up. Yeah, Bob Dragage says it correctly. The good thing about single coils is they pick up everything. And the bad thing about single coils is they pick up everything. All right, so let me run you through the London really quick. I'll do it with the Les Paul because most people buy the London for the crunch. I just wanted to show off my new pickups, and then we're going to have Steve Kirk do that voodoo that he do.
That voodoo that you do so well. Oh, wow.
And we're playing with guitars here and having fun.
Neat.
But anyway, the amp show was fun, and then the other thing I wanted to spill is I think for NAMM we're going to do a 4EL84 version of the Producer.
Ooh.
Loosely based on the Marquis that we released in 2006, which was too big. It was too big and hot for the world. And this will have master voltage, it'll have the loop, you know, all the things, sort of more of a 2013 version of the Marquis. But the Marquis had a fantastic sound. If you like an angry AC30, that was it. It was... So we're on the EF86. See you later, Nick.
And that'll be the Producer for people that play on humongous stages, is that it?
No, it'll be less power than the one you have.
Oh, less power.
4EL84s.
Oh, 84s.
Yeah, not 34s.
Oh, okay.
It'll be probably like 24 watts, somewhere around there. But with the sound of 484s, you know.
I generally have to have the thing somewhere between 11 o'clock and straight up, and that's in the straight up if the drummer's really loud.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's the only reason I'd ever have to turn it up is if the other guitar player was using a fucking twin or something.
Yeah, right. Well, it's at 28 watts with all that current. It's pretty darn loud.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, it'll be a blue line. And that's at EF86. It's a really cool... I can just push this channel into oblivion. Just great EL84
So
sound.
you have, so the London has a British and an American side?
No, it's Central London and South London.
Ah.
Kind of a Marshall and a Vox thing.
Oh. So were we just in the Vox?
We were in
arena?
We were in Dartford, yeah. That's the Marshall side, and the subtleties might not come across on Ustream very well, but
you'd be surprised. Well, I don't know. I listened to Dan Boul's Lunch with Dan Boul on my studio speakers.
Right. If you're listening through a good rig, you'll hear it.
And the compression's not that bad. It sounds really good.
Oh, cool.
If you're listening on decent speakers, it's good.
So this is your like early Marshall thing, you know. Just straight up. Got more of that Marshall to it, you know. This has a tube tremolo on it also, but I didn't plug in a foot switch, so you just have to take my word for it. And then there's a cut knob like off the old Vox amps, so I can... And then open it wide back up. So kind of subtle, but it works. Oh, Brett's bringing a foot switch.
I got it here.
He's got it here.
gotta hear that, man.
Gotta hear a little.
It's freaking cool.
Gotta hear a little trim.
There we go.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
There it goes. Little tube trim.
Best guitar effect ever. Right?
I love tremolo.
Yeah, me too.
Most young guys don't, but
Well,
that's all right. I think you got to be over 40 to appreciate trim. If you've ever been to Texas, you know that sound. Anyway, that's my little London. And it's just kind of darn fun. But you can get your big, Actually, that's a little more fun over in the EF86. We can get a little different spongy mid-range kind of thing out of it. And these pickups are not real strong. You can really push this thing into submission. That's on 10. Country song called Long Black Train. Is that like a takeoff on the That's Alright Mama line? You can do that. Let's see. We can get some good, even with a Les Paul, I know we can get a decent country sound out of this. This amp's actually on a lot of country tours. Where is that? I'm in the wrong key. Something like that. Can't play today. I don't know what it is. Long Black Train, Josh Turner. Is that? Yeah, oh, so it's something else. Okay, cool. Yay, London. So there you go. You get the idea. But let's get down to the heart of the conversation here. What is that noise? Do you hear like boom, boom, boom?
Yeah, I think it's the bong maker next door.
The bomb maker next door.
With the Jeep.
Oh, the bong maker.
Yeah.
Ah, that guy. Steve.
soundtrack to his life.
Me? No, not me.
What's he doing? Enjoying his products?
Yes, they listen to their jams, you know?
Well, when you're making bongs.
It's got the little clippy doos on
Oh,
the thing,
jeez.
so it doesn't...
You guys are so modern.
No, it's just we knock guitars over a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I did? You know what I did about a month ago? I have a 52 gold top Les Paul.
Uh-huh.
It was hanging on one of those wall hanger things. And I thought, okay, I'm done for the night.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
So I went up and went to bed, and I hear this crash. And I'm going,
Oh, no.
and I'm going,
No.
what's
no,
the
no.
cat got into?
Right.
And then I said, that's too loud for that. And I went downstairs, and the thing had fallen out of the hook and slammed into the desktop, and the headstock snapped back.
Oh. You know,
But, you know,
I think gold tops are cursed.
but,
I've broken 2 headstocks
Really?
in my life, and they were on gold tops.
well, the guys at SF Guitar Works, bless their hearts, did an amazing job fixing that up for me.
Oh yeah, they got it good.
Yeah, it's really. It doesn't sound any different.
Oh yeah.
It looks a little different, but I don't care.
Close that door.
Stay in tune. Say?
Does it stay in tune and resonate and all that stuff?
Mine,
We're in cable hell here,
my
aren't we?
guitars, the Les Pauls are not too bad for staying in tune.
Really?
Yeah.
You must play with a reasonable touch.
You,
I don't know what that.
How you
I
doing
don't
with that
know.
cable over there? You're right over there.
We're in cable hell right here. We got twisted up
Oh,
cables and guitar
Jesus.
straps, and
That is this. It used to work for me.
it's more messed up than the government's checkbook.
Oh!
Ba-doom.
Gotta laugh
You are
like-
correct, sir.
Gotta laugh like Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah, because he's choking down a bourbon.
Right.
He sure was.
Oh, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Kirk playing his Grelly guitar. Tell us a little bit about the guitar before you.
Here's what I like about this guitar.
Do tell.
It has a very. If you turn down the volume knobs, let's go between the two.
One of these lights is just too hot.
The instrument has such an airy rhythm guitar sound.
Yeah.
It's very airy, it's very open, there's a lot of transparent high end, and yet, when you crank the thing, it's not brittle.
Right.
It's really, really sweet sounding, and you can dial in a buttload of gain, as they say.
I can hear that nice cry. And he's on the neck pickup there.
Hey, are you guys
Very
out
nice.
there hearing clipping on the guitar?
Yeah, I hear a little
Just
bit.
let us know. Maybe we need to turn down the thing on the
Trying
the
to-
deal.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Oh,
They're saying no.
He says no. Well, then, what the hell? And then,
And then I'll be your foot switch. So yeah, they're asking about the pickups. Which pickups are in here, Bob?
They're the classics, TV Jones classics.
TV Jones Classics.
really, really useful.
And here's Henry Winkler to tell you more. No. I've been seeing those commercials. It just drives me crazy.
I never knew that Jump the Shark was from the Happy
From the Happy Days.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's when the show was
My wa-
officially
my-
ruined.
My wife had to tell
I
me
saw that episode. He was on water
Jump the
skis.
shark?
Yeah.
It takes when they come out here to California.
Yeah, and he's on water skis and he has to jump over a shark.
Well, I know that now. I'm embarrassed, actually.
Jump the shark.
Yeah.
No, I just love. There's like 4 commercials now for different products, and no matter what it is, somebody turns to the camera and goes, "And here's Henry Winkler to tell you more."
Yeah, he does everything.
So what we can do too is I'm playing through the London. He's playing through the London right now. We can go through the Elvis, which you're also really familiar with.
I know that one pretty well.
He's never played through a London before.
Give me some more stank.
Well, let's do that on the Elvis.
Okay.
I think that's going to be easier.
There's plenty on this, clearly, though.
It's just different thing. It's a single gain stage, so you can't, without a heavy humbucker, you're not going to be able to push it into hardcore clipping. Like Brett and these guys, they drop tune and play humbuckers through it, and it gets darn raunchy.
But what's really cool about the London is it real, like you could drive the shit out of it and really
It won't fall apart.
No, it holds together brilliantly. Like with uber output pups, it's still
Yeah, you
holds
can
its
run
gain
a
structure really.
yeah, you
really.
can run a Paul Reed Smith.
I like
into it.
Big time.
the idea of it staying tight and not getting all dispersed and stuff. When you hear guys that use, a ton of distortion, usually the first thing that goes away are the guts.
Right.
And you just hear disperse,
And we have a little circuit.
diffuse distortion stuff.
A lot of boosting of cheap frequencies.
A lot of white noise.
A lot of cheap
Well,
frequencies.
Yeah.
EL84s are really prone to crossover distortion.
Yeah.
And we have a circuit in this on this one. It's actually in a switch on your smooth switch that'll get rid of that when you're into clipping.
That's my Elvis, all right.
Okay, so that sounds great, by the way. I love that guitar. Muller 12XM says, honky mid-range brings out the honky in me. Hey, that sounds like a country song. Please explain crossover distortion and how to avoid it. Well, crossover distortion is just a technical term. When you look at a sine wave on a scope, the point where the horizontal and the X and Y axis join is the crossover point because they're crossing over each other. And so when the tube is going from positive to negative on its swing, it'll tend to fall apart if you're pushing it too hard. EL84s especially kind of lose the ground reference when you push them really hard, and that causes that crossover distortion. What does that mean to anyone who speaks English? What that means is you hear this fizzy, rippy zzz, and then you also get a lot of failure in the bottom end. The tubes aren't happy. So we have a circuit here. I didn't invent it. I stole it from a hi-fi trick. And let me just tell you, nobody invents anything in this business anymore. Anyone who tells you they're inventing something is astonishingly full of shit. But I copped it from an old hi-fi circuit, and it keeps that ground reference locked. It has a ceiling and a floor, so it can only operate within this primo range, so the tubes don't fall apart, so you can push them harder. It also makes it sound a little more focused, and there's less non-harmonic distortion on there, so you end up with this really cool detail out of it. If we push the amp into hardcore clipping and turn it off, it's going to sound a lot more rippy and buzzy, and a little more unkempt. I don't know if it'll come across on Ustream or not, but you can hear it in person pretty clearly if you're slamming it. It's one of those things where if you've never had someone point out crossover distortion to you, what it sounds like, you probably never noticed it. And many times I've been in the shop and I went, okay, hear that? All right, now hear that. And they go, oh. And then they call me back later and go, now every amp I have, I notice crossover distortion. So I'm hesitant to show it to people because it makes you hate your amps. Marshalls in particular are known for crossover distortion. That's a big part of their sound is crossover distortion. And that obnoxious...
You know that classic...
Which isn't bad. I like it.
Classic Clapton clip that's circulating around YouTube where he talks about the woman tone and
Yeah.
he's playing the Marshall there and
Yeah.
and there is a bunch of crossover distortion going
Tons
on in
of
that
it, yeah.
sound. And you know what?
It's a great sound.
It's a great sound. So
It's not a modern sound at all.
it's when you start hearing it, it starts to bug you.
Right.
And then when you hear it in context,
Mhm.
especially if you're playing with a loud drummer or something,
Mhm.
it's not a really big deal. I mean, you know, the EL34s do it more. My producer doesn't do it like at all.
Well, it's because it has that circuit in it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it really works.
And
See, that would be going.
yeah. Right. See if I turn this off. Now do the same thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, there it is, huh?
Yeah. Did you hear that buzz get on top of it? Especially when you're on the lower notes. Right.
There it is.
Yeah. That's crossover distortion. Now, I can get rid of it. Yeah.
There we go.
It's a subtle thing. So when you're playing that lick,
this one.
yeah,
That
anyway,
is.
you get the idea. So it's a subtle thing. I like crossover distortion, like you said, in context. Sometimes it's appropriate. Sometimes it's not. It's nice to have the option, but what it allows us to do is push amps a little harder. Without just adding more gain stages. You know, like to get that level of gain without that smooth switch on there, I would have to reduce the gain and spread it across more tubes. Which every time you do that, you lose some fidelity, you lose some detail. Every time there's another gain stage, you're losing fidelity. And so like in this particular amp you're playing, it's 2 gain stages, whereas most amps that get that dirty would be 3 to 5 gain stages.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you retain so much definition of tone when you're not overdoing those
Right.
gain stages.
Well, it's you're reproducing the signal each time you go through a gain stage, so it's like cloning it. You know, each clone's a little bit different.
This is the same amp settings with this guitar.
Yeah.
You can even get.
I have the bump on. I can turn the bump off if you want. Let me get you the foot switch. There's your foot switch.
Oh, thanks. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, the amp's on 9 right now.
Pin that sucker. Just humor me.
Yeah, yeah.
So without the bump, pinned, it's still it's a
Yeah.
whole different, really great sound. Cleans up nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, no, it's a great amp.
I mean, that's the amp's on 10, but with that smooth switch on, it's still containable.
Yeah, and it also helps to shop around for a nice matched set of EL84s.
That's right.
too.
Yeah, now you've experimented a lot with tubes
I'm-
in this amp, right?
I'm
haven't you?
nuts about it.
Yeah, well, tell us what you've tried, what you
Uh,
like, what you didn't like, or whatever. You can just
Well,
tell us
you
what
know,
you liked.
you know, I'm right now. I'm going with the JJ
Mm-hmm.
EL84s, and I think the next batch I get, I'm going to get them rated at a higher headroom.
Yeah, a little more
Uh,
current draw on it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna work better for me.
Yeah.
Actually, I like them now. They're nice. They're nice and they work pretty well. And the crossover distortion has kept it pretty much a minimum. But I think,
Yeah.
you know, me and Miles go back and forth. We have these long
Oh, yeah.
discussions about tubes and stuff. And I think the next batch are going to be a little bit
Oh yeah.
higher headroom.
So was I ask, is that what the smooth switch is for? Yes, and on is plus on the switch.
Yeah.
So
But you know, so I have two of your amps.
right.
I love them both. The producer's an amazing instrument,
Thank you.
amazing amp. You know what I like using? The way I like using that amp is, I love using both channels, and I don't really use the bump on the British side very much.
Yeah, you don't
at all
yeah.
because you don't need it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
gainy.
it's the perfect British.
Yeah.
It's the perfect Marshall sound you never got without that thing. If you really just feel like you got to have that extra thing, it's
Right.
there. But I almost never need it. I'm like, I've got it on like 8.
Oh yeah, you're pushing it then.
Yeah.
So I only use the bump on the British side for the most part for single string stuff.
Yeah. Well, right. I would never use it for anything else.
It's too big for a rhythm sound.
But
It's,
even for
yeah.
the solo stuff, the purity of the sound without the extra gain stage
Yeah.
is just delicious, and it's really warm and it's really creamy and it's everything you would want from that
cool.
kind of a sound.
Thank you.
And then every once in a while you could go, well, if I just want any possible damn note to feed back, I think I'll switch on the bump.
Yeah.
Right. So so you have a lot of options with that amp. When I was doing the what the hell was that game now? Scurvy Scalawags game.
Scurvy Scalawag.
I used the Elvis the whole time because it had the sound. The producer wasn't going to do it. It had that chiminess.
Yeah.
It had
Well,
that kind of grit.
84s, yeah.
It was a gritty, voxy thing. It was perfect for that stuff. I used a baritone guitar. I used all my different guitars
Wow.
with this thing.
That's cool.
Used a lot of tremolo,
Mhm.
and it was just bitchin'. It was the perfect amp. So it's like I need them both.
Well, they're really different animals.
They are really different, and they're really useful. It's something I've used that Elvis in live gigs, and it can be a little mini plexi too. I mean, with that bump,
Yeah, if you roll the volume
take no
back,
prisoners,
put the volume on like 4,
Yeah.
and then hit the bump, you've got a good heated up plexi sound.
Yeah.
A Billy Gibbons-ish kind of
Yeah.
fun sound.
And it takes pedals nice too.
Thank you. Well, that's the thing. We're not doing that much gain in the preamp, so you can.
Yeah. No, let's see. Yeah, it sounds a lot like my Elvis.
Well,
It's
headphones in a strange studio. Very nice. So I thought it was really interesting. We got into this discussion because Robert bought another Grelly to the LA Amp show, and I was trying to hold conversations, and I had serious shell shock from being at that place for 2 days straight,
can
and
only
I could
imagine.
I kept mixing up which tuning peg to use. I had it reversed. Just it's such a habit because I rarely play a reverse headstock guitar.
Oh, we should talk about
But-
the reverse headstock a little, Dan.
And I think it'd be very interesting to talk about why you like them and the benefits that you see from having a reverse headstock, which will lead into the natural conclusion that that's why Jimi Hendrix played right-handed guitars when he could buy a left-handed guitar.
What I like about the reverse headstock is you have the longer string length on the low string, which gives the low thing a little bit more liveliness, a little bit more twang if you want it, but I just think it's a more solid low end. And then when you have the shorter string length assigned to the higher strings, they're easier to bend,
Yeah,
and the tone is a little sweeter,
right.
which I think is one of the reasons that you can have such an airy, clear sounding instrument and still drive a buttload of gain into it and have it sound really smooth and silky if you want it. It's a paradox.
Yeah.
That's what's great about this instrument. It really is kind of like a paradox. It gets you just about anything you need.
Yeah.
It's a really nice rhythm sound, really nice solo sound. It's usually you don't get that in one instrument.
Yeah, I hear you just get anything out of it. Now, is that humbucker? Is that tapped? I see you push. Is that a push pull knob?
No,
there? Oh, okay.
no. What's the other great thing is just what any Gibson does, or Gretsch, I guess too, is that you just have these two pickups. Well, that was just the neck pickup, but you get a lot of different sounds just by having these two pickups interact at different levels. So a little bit more neck pickup, a little more bridge pickup gives you a little bit more, right?
Wow, it's quite a contrast. Remember, the amp is still on 10. Let me roll it back for you.
Well, see, this is why I like to. That's what I do when I take this thing to a gig. Is I
Just open it
turn
up.
it up to about somewhere between 8 and 9.
Yeah, and then you just play the guitar.
And then I just play the guitar.
Right.
And I don't need
What a concept.
stinking pedals.
He relics his guitar by playing it, and when he goes to a gig, he turns his amp on and plays guitar. What the?
I have used pedals before. I have done that. But man, and even at the highest gain setting, that's just about all the way
Yeah,
up.
we're at 9 now.
Yeah, you can still just lighten up on the touch, and it cleans up
Yeah.
a little bit. It doesn't mean it's not still
Not
dirty.
Nashville clean. But it doesn't sound high gain.
But if you want to reveal some detail, all you have to do is lighten up on your touch a little bit.
Right. Very nice. What do you think, fellas? That is that an actual F-hole body? Yes, it is.
See? There we go.
I was sticking my finger in the F-hole. Troy's Lab says, the next thing you're going to tell us is he plugs straight into the amp.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I do that.
That's what we're doing now. Those are the TV Jones classics, I think.
Is that right, Bob? Oh, he's gone.
He's gone to the
Thing.
Yeah, I think so. The classics. Yeah, they sound great. Well, it's a very well-made guitar. I mean, all of these guitars just play unbelievably
Bob,
well.
are these the TV Jones classic?
Classics.
Yeah, I know you told us somebody was asking again.
I forgot though already.
I know. We're guitar players. Yeah, so I get that comment a lot about how I've reduced pedal boards. Mainly just distortion boxes are gone. But I tell you, I still, even with my own rig, I like to use a little bit of compression. On stage.
For live?
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit, nothing heavy. Just so the soft stuff comes up.
Sure.
And then I get a little more sustain, over a band.
I have one of those full-tone GT500s, which is
it good?
pretty badass.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you want just ridiculous amounts of overdrive,
Yeah.
it works very well through the Elvis.
Oh,
And
cool.
sometimes the bump is the sound you want, which is a pretty mid-rangey
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. Right.
And the GT500 is a little bit more scooped.
Right.
So
Yeah, you can get some different palette there,
take your
yeah.
pick, and that's a dual
Mm-hmm.
thingy, so you can get their OCD.
Yes.
It's their OCD and then their distortion thing, and I end up using the distortion more.
Ah. So I have that Strymon OB1,
Yeah.
which is a really transparent compressor. Like, it doesn't kill the initial transient when you're hitting it like most compressors do. But then it has a booster built into it with a 3-way voice on it. So you can do high, mid, low.
Oh.
And then, so there's 2 buttons on there.
Uh-huh.
And so it has an overall, on the compression side, there's a volume for the compression. But then you can dial the boost in independently and tweak it to be really bright or mid-rangey or bassy. You get some cool sounds. Just, I don't have to have 2 different amps or a bunch of different pedals. And
First thing I notice whenever I use any pedal, no matter if it's true bypass or whatever the hell it is that it doesn't sound as good as when I'm just plugging the cable into
Right.
the damn amp, and so I get spoiled.
yeah.
I
Well,
really
true bypass is a little bit of a misnomer. All you're bypassing is the circuit in the pedal. You're not bypassing the 4 solder joints and the wire and
you're
the
still,
jacks.
You're still going through the solder joints, so that makes a difference.
And you're going through a jack that might not be the best conductor in the world. Even the best jacks that you can buy for pedals are what I would consider mediocre conductors for your guitar signal.
I think the full tone guy is pretty careful about his components, but
Yeah.
it still
No, but I mean, I
sounds
just know
different. It still sounds different.
the best jack available is still kind of
Yeah.
I mean, there's some cheap jacks available, but I think the phrase true bypass is sort of at best misleading.
Right.
It's not really what it is, because the only thing you're bypassing is the pedal, which you could say circuit bypass
Or the guts of the pedal, right?
Right, but you're still going through all that stuff.
And so when you compare that, I mean, if you're using a cheap cable, it probably doesn't make any difference at all. But if you start getting into the cables that I'm sort of become addicted to,
And you're using
then
Brian's cables now too, right?
yeah, I just switched. I was using another brand, which was really good, but I had 2 of them fail, and it was such a pain in the ass to solder.
Yeah, you're talking about colossal cables. So
These
Brian Mendes.
colossal cables are really outstanding. They're easy to deal with. They unwind nicely,
Right.
and they
don't fail.
And I think they sound a little better.
To me, they're the most transparent that I've seen.
Well, I found the sound to be more transparent, but also fuller and richer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what that means.
Brian literally has a liquid alloy that he puts on the solder joint, because even like the best solder joint is half air. If you're really good at soldering and using high quality.
Then I just ruined my 2 other cables by.
Yeah. Well,
I
the problem.
I use the silver solder and stuff, but I'm not. I don't do that very well.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, mil-spec builders, they learn how to, heat up the contact and then get that solder in and out really fast.
Yeah.
And that reduces the amount of air because you're not boiling the solder, but even a really good solder joint is 50% air.
Yeah.
And Brian has this liquid alloy he puts on first, and you can see the bubbles. Everything just leaves right away. And so he gets this really high contact solder joint, and it's this little brown liquid. He won't tell me what it is. And
plus he builds a ton of relief into those connectors, which we all need. If we're, I mean,
Right.
if I'm in the studio, I mean, I have big feet and I trip over shit all the time.
in our shop, I mean, how many? It's like the cables get ran over and stepped on all day.
I trip a lot. It's a tight space, and it's like you're
always rolling chairs over it. Everything.
That's right. And so those, I mean, that cable is just terrific.
Yeah, I think I've got 8 or 9 of his cables, and I've had one that got intermittent. I think I've had it 6 years. But I mean, I know for a fact this thing has been ran over by a chair or amp dollies or whatever 200-300 times.
Sure.
And and thrown across the shop. Hey, you got a cable? Yeah, here. And in and out of an amplifier 50 times a day. And it just started going intermittent. It's one of the very first ones he made me. But yeah, his strain relief is triple what anyone else uses.
Oh, that's great.
Hey,
Bob, where's the new Grelly?
Let's show the new guitar.
So this is the prototype. You can see that I've been road testing it.
Which kind of colossal do you prefer? Espen
It's
Jacobsen.
the fat. Is it the
Sweet
The
fat.
Sweet fat.
Sweet
yeah.
fat. Yeah, that's
what I
my.
got.
That's one I had
I actually
too.
just got it kind of on your recommendation.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah,
God, I hope
yeah.
it works out.
Oh but no, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so far so good with Brian. Plus Brian's a really cool guy. If you talk to him, he's a ridiculous drummer. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Okay. Here.
All together.
Quick switch, cable hell, strap hell.
No, I think. So take a look at this beauty.
Nice new
everybody.
grelly.
Check that shit out, because I mean, that's a nice color too.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how this. I played them both this morning, and they do sound similar, but they're not exactly the same.
Now, are these the same pickups?
This is an experiment.
Oh, okay.
The bridge pickup is a classic plus.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'm going to go with those, and somebody wants it. It's very
Yeah, a
aggressive
little too forward.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a little forward.
Yeah.
I felt like, I wouldn't do it, but
Yeah.
it sounds fucking great though.
It sounds great in here,
Whatever.
at least in
Whatever.
here. And I'm on the cheap headphones.
Well, that aggressiveness really works through this amp, though.
Yeah.
Am I bumpless?
You're bumpless.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a great sound. It's very Hendrixian without the bump, kind of. With the bump, it's
Yeah. It's a sustain.
Jesus H.
Yeah. It's a lot of sustain.
Oops. That's a nice one, ain't it?
Yeah, that works.
Bridge.
I don't know. We might want to.
Reconsider.
You might want to reconsider. Of course, that's
Is it
the.
top too?
But that's the same as the other pickup, right? The neck pickup is the same. It's
the
a classic.
Straight.
So I don't know. They both.
It sounds pretty
Yeah,
damn
that's-
good to me. And I'm on the cheap headphones.
I mean, yeah, that should be a Voxy amp, but you can really go acid on it.
So here's the question. Lots of nice comments coming in, Bob, also about how beautiful and how good the guitar is.
Thank you.
What's the price?
$2,100, but it's about to go up because I just placed a parts order.
Oh,
And lots of stuff has gone up like 15-20%.
yeah.
But it's stuff like the knobs.
Right.
Stuff like
You know why that is?
no.
Because the dollar is dropping like a rock because of these morons in D.C. I've gone through this cycle in my business now, like almost a decade. Every time there's almost a government shutdown, every time there's almost a default, the rest of the world gets really scared and says, shit, we better get our money from the U.S. now while we can. And also, you look at the value of the dollar is dropping like a rock today, yesterday, because world markets are getting really scared of investing in the United States. And you'll see that.
Yeah.
It'll go up, and then they won't come back down. When the dollar comes back up, the prices don't come back down. I'm paying double for stuff that I, 5 years ago when this first started happening with these idiots. And we just pay the price. We pay it twice because half of the guys that are thinking about buying your gear are now scared that their IRAs and their retirement accounts and their stock portfolio is going to take a dive. So let's just put everything on hold for a minute while these, what's the word I'm looking for? Jack-offs in Washington, D.C. circle jerk each other. And we figure it out. So we're paying the price. Not to rant there, but get used to it. So what he's saying is this guitar is actually only $2,100. So do you have a website?
You can go to the GC. It used to be called the GC1 Guitar.
Yeah.
GC1Guitar.com.
GC1Guitar.com. Let me
that
put this
website
on
is
here.
Ancient and it needs to be updated. I apologize.
That's all right.
He's going to do that tonight.
Is it the letter or the number one or spelled out?
GC number 1.
Okay. Oops. Hang on a second. I got to put on links. Allow links. There we go. Let me do it again. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean that wasn't a political rant with any party allegiance whatsoever. It's just a fact that when these guys do this, we pay the price. And I've seen it happen. You should have seen when we almost had a government shutdown, or no, when the Lehman Brothers and all that stuff started happening, the price of copper quadrupled. Because
and did it just stay there?
Yeah, it didn't go back down. But the thing is, because everyone, okay, the dollar's toilet paper now, we're going to actually invest in metal. Like gold went through the roof, silver, copper, everything. We use a lot of copper in this business in our transformers. There was stories all over the news about people were breaking into houses and pulling the copper tubing off of refrigerators. Because I think at one point it actually went up 7 times, but it settled at 4 times. People were stealing copper out of restaurants. They'd go to the bathroom and pull all the copper out. They could feel, that's how stupid it is when politicians play games with our lives. This is the stuff you don't hear on the news. So, fuck you, Washington.
By the way, it's already a law.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
I don't even want to go there.
I know. I just thought I would just go there for you, just for a second. It's already a law. Stop holding the country and the world hostage, please.
Yeah. Anything living inside the D.C. Beltway should be sent home, get real jobs, and get the heck out of our lives. Yeah, I think regardless of your party allegiance, you can agree on that. None of us are being served well. So, has it got a really fat neck? Paul Ovenshad says.
What do you think? I think it's
kind of medium large. It's very comfortable for the geometry of my hand. I don't have huge hands.
It's kind of it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
12-inch radius.
12-inch radius, right?
1 3/4 inches at the nut.
You said you didn't want to get technical.
No politics, guys, please don't. Yeah.
Politics?
Yeah, they're posting links now. Just don't do that.
No.
Don't do that. This isn't the place. I probably agree with what you're posting, but just we don't have to.
Man, the feel of this neck is perfect for me, so that's another reason I like it.
I get along with it.
Everyone's different.
Oh yeah, I get along with them really well.
Yeah.
It's a soft V.
It's a soft V, which has some really free jokes that I'm not going to do.
He's getting technical again. He said he wasn't going to do that.
No one likes a hard V.
Call it a butt neck, okay?
Yeah, no one likes a hard V.
Like your hairy.
So, anyone that thinks that a Telly-style guitar can't do jazz doesn't know.
Well, just to carry on the guitar porn analogy here, he's asking, is it a soft V with a compound radius?
Oh, no.
That's really,
I can't get me enough of that compound
yeah.
radius.
It depends. Mighty sweet jazz tone there, he says. Oh, okay, Muller 12X. You're showing the dollar going down. Yeah, that means we have to, when you make a guitar amp, high end or low end, you have to import a lot of stuff. They don't make tubes in the United States anymore. American speakers are kind of second rate. I use Baltic birch from Russia, that sort of thing. So, the dollar matters to me. The only thing that happens when the dollar goes down is I call my dealers in Europe and go, hey, you want a 5% discount on your amps? I go, yeah, sure. I'm like, you better buy today then, because the dollar just went down 5%. Life is only full if you've got music and politics. Theology helps make the sense of the. Oh, okay. Help to make sense of the magic. Yeah, fair enough. Politics is gross. We don't need to do it. Oh, excuse me, as I belch into the microphone. See what the politics does? It makes me all. I got schmelkus in here. We'll see where. Oh gosh, it's 1:30 already. It's very cool. Do you guys want to meet Robert Farwell really quick? You can see the guy. He's not a big flag waver. He doesn't like to self promote much, and he's probably getting embarrassed now that I'm asking to come here and say hi.
Yeah, he should hawk this stuff though.
Yeah, they do sound great, don't they? Let's talk guitar amp politics. Yes, well, I'm a British guy. Sandwiches. Yeah, sandwiches are what we need. Anyway, thank you, Steve. You sound fantastic.
Oh, damn.
Finally, we get to meet this Steve Kirk, who's been, on the chat window for almost all of our shows. And he gets to come here and play guitar. So now
blast too.
And came all the way down from San Francisco just to do this day. Hey, Bob.
Dan.
Good to see you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Farwell, who makes the Grelly guitar. So, why should we buy a Grelly, Bob?
You heard it. I mean, basically the guitar speaks for itself. I mean, if you liked what you heard, that's why.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding him. He puts a lot of time and effort and research into these.
Oh, that wasn't a question.
It was a softball I was throwing.
Okay.
Almost rhetorical. Like, why should one drive a Ferrari? Oh, I don't know.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a damn good time. It's a well-made instrument. So you've been making guitars for how long now?
This one was built, I think, in 2005, 2006.
Oh, okay. And then your production level's pretty small.
It's very small.
Yeah, how many?
The last production run is this month is 6 guitars.
Wow.
So it's small.
And $2,100, dude. That's crazy. You should be charging more for that guitar. I think that's a $3,000, $2,995.
Well.
I mean, unless you don't need the money.
Oh, well, we need the money.
Yeah. So
does everyone.
Today only, if you buy two, they're $2,800 a piece.
Actually, people are doing that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Giving away guitars?
No. Yeah, well, one of the orders is a gift.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great.
It's kind of like a thing I have with my dealers. If you buy 20, I'll give you one free.
I would love to build 20 this month. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Let's see. What is this question here? If he can line the strings up over the poles, he's got fender beat. Doesn't line. Oh, well, yeah.
I changed body manufacturers recently, and they are doing just a spectacular job. You notice that it's just sitting in the neck pockets now.
Right.
And they're doing a spectacular job. I just shim those.
And they're perfect.
And they're perfect.
Wow, fantastic. And then, so where do you make all these?
In Pasadena.
In Pasadena. For those of you that don't know California or Southern California, Pasadena is a very I wouldn't say the word sophisticated, but it's a very cultured pocket of Los Angeles where you see a lot of well-heeled people that are really into high-end goods. And I know I know a lot of guys in Pasadena, and you want to find the guy that's got the guitar collection. You want to find the guy that's got the amp. Chances are he lives in Pasadena, and there is apparently an old lady there who drives really fast.
It's my wife.
Is that your wife? She's the little old lady from Pasadena. But anyway, they're made right here in Los Angeles, is what I'm saying. So they're American-made stuff by this guy who, if you don't know him, is always a gentleman, always a nice guy, and always has a kind word for everybody. So if you're thinking about,
Thank you, Dan.
if you're thinking, it's true, it really is. I've never seen you even in a bad mood.
Never.
See, look, he
Hardly
smiles.
ever
Right.
happens.
It's like, yeah, it's almost like you're from Nashville or something.
I've never been there.
Yeah, Nashville people are astonishingly nice, or Canadians. Like,
Eh?
how do you make a Canadian apologize to you? Yeah, step on his foot. Here, come over a little bit so we can see you. I can't move the camera, unfortunately. But no, Pasadena is a really cool place, is what I'm saying.
It's one of the original developments in Southern California. It's
That's right.
Very, very, very old.
Yeah, wasn't it like all the auto giants from the 20s started
they're-
building houses to get away from the winters in Michigan or
Yeah,
something?
they certainly did.
Yeah.
But one of the things was it's always had groundwater. So they
Oh.
could always pump their own water.
Oh, there you go. We all like to pump our own, as they say. That was too easy, wasn't it? Just vulgar for vulgar's sake. Just amazing. Well, we're kind of running long here, but I want you guys to meet Bob, Robert, Max Buddha, as many of you know him on the internet, Facebook. And so get a hold of him, have him make you a guitar. I think you'll be extremely happy. And money well spent, as they say. Very cool. And someday when I have money, I'll buy one from you. I don't actually buy guitars anymore. I come by guitars. Max Buddha is a wonderful Facebook guy, Rev. This is
Randy Creek.
Randy Creek.
Hi, Randy.
Yeah. Who's also always a gentleman and always looks on the bright side of life. Always fun to interact with. And now is a 65 customer as well.
Little Elvis.
Hey, Brett, is it time for the music? Did I catch you by surprise?
Well,
The
they
outro,
normally
please.
I gotta finish working on the closing theme.
Oh, okay.
We'll have Steve write it.
Yeah, that's it. He can just
But,
play
you
it.
know,
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Lack of anything.
So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Thanks again, Bob. It's good to have you here.
Dan.
Finally,
I
you
really appreciate
you
it.
get you get to finally be on the show after all the times you've come by. And thanks to Steve Kirk for coming by and playing some
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
amazing guitar playing on here. Uncle Mitch, I don't know what the long range is for the 6v6s. Right now, there's some good ones made. But anyway, we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, thanks, fellas. Thanks again to Brett Chasen and Bob Kulick for letting us invade Office Studios. And we'll see you next week. So on that bombshell, we're out. Take care. Bye-bye.